As we continue with the second half of the show this morning, and we are starting off unpacking, looking at the South African National Zakáh Fund. We're talking about integrated reports with SANZAF's National Chairperson, Fayruz Mohamed, and the CEO, Yasmina Francke, this morning, and welcoming both our guests to the show this morning, Sister Fayruz Mohamed, Yasmina Francke. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to both of you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Alaikum
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah and Jummah Barak to you, Brother Inayat, and to the Salam Media viewers.
Yes, one thing that has impressed me, and over the years, I have been following, various organizations and looking at SANZAF in particular with regard to reporting and the reporting structures at SANZAF Fayruz, and the whole question surrounding integrated reporting and providing the level of detail that the report, year after year, alhamdulillah, and it just gives us a lot more confidence in an organization like SANZAF Fayruz. So that is definitely a feather in the cap, and I've seen how it has evolved and matured over a period of time. So let's just talk about integrated reporting. What does it actually mean to SANZAF? Why is it so important?
Jazakallah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Maybe, Brother Inayat, if I can firstly, begin by giving thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to continue to changing lives through the work we do, and that we were able to witness, this past year emerging from a global pandemic, alhamdulillah. And as you've indicated, accountability and transparency have always been a good governance practice SANZAF strives to achieve. And it wasn't too long ago where we released our audited financial results, which was within 100 days of a financial year end, which is an achievement that we try and strive for every year, alhamdulillah. However, our integrated report, brings together information other than just the financial. It's the information about our strategy, it's about our governance, our performance, specifically in relation to our operating environment that leads to a better understanding and a value creation, which is very useful and relevant to all our stakeholders, like our beneficiaries, our donors, our partners, and even our valuable team. And like you said, we've kind of evolved, and approached it from our annual report, which is now our integrated report. And, we look at reporting in a manner that is, impacts the work that we do. And this type of reporting encourages, some positive behaviors within the organization. Like it allows us to, think more integratedly and allows the elements within the organization to be more integrated. It articulates, the organization's strategy, like I said, as well as our business model. And it allows us to improve on our internal processes, leading to greater compliance and transparency, as well as improved decision-making processes. So that is basically what our integrated report is in a nutshell.
Well, certainly, in a nutshell, but obviously, when one looks at the level of detail that an integrated report provides, and I think for me, this is where the value add would be for an organization like SANZAF, Sister Fayruz. And at the same time, it does send, very, you speak about strategy, but also it sends very, profound and key messages through a report like an integrated report.
Absolutely. And, one of the key messages that came through our integrated report was the campaign that we had, which was around belief, believe in Allah's mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, in his promise that, with difficulty comes ease, we have the ability to make a difference, believe that there will be a better tomorrow, and, the belief that it's possible. And to me, the integrated report is a public demonstration of that accountability, to our various stakeholders and our efforts, in serving others and the impact we make over the short, medium, and long term that has, been captured under the various capitals we employ to create value for many other stakeholders. But I think what I would also like to add is, a message of gratitude on behalf of the trustees, myself as chair, our national and regional executive, to our contributors and partners and volunteers for trusting the organization, with their various forms of giving, thereby allowing us to instill hope and make an impact. Alhamdulillah.
Well, certainly you have made a huge impact, Sister Fayruz. And let's just go to Sister Yasmina, talking about the highlights of SANZAF, looking at your projects and your programs.
Yes, shukran so much, Brother Inayat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, just to add to Fayruz's comment on what the integrated report is, and she mentioned that we had just recently published our financials. So, also just to add that the integrated report is probably the story behind the numbers. So, the financials is what it's a set of financials. So, we speak to our income, our distribution, we speak to our balance sheet, and all of those things that's necessary to report on in a financial statement. But the integrated report gives us an opportunity to tell those stories behind the numbers. And so when we talk about the highlights of the integrated report, we talk to stories around Hajara, who fulfilled her ambitions as a lawyer through this year in her engagement with SANZAF. We speak about Zubair making waves in the literary world, Zubair being somebody who got the SANZAF journey with us, loves writing and has, been able even to publish his first non-fiction essay. We talk about Amida excelling in education, somebody who has given up hope, didn't know what her future was going to be, and then was able to, embark on a bursary program with SANZAF, and she achieved her degree cum laude and is now giving back and has become a teacher herself. And then we speak internally to, the team that Fayruz spoke about, our own people, our investment in our own people and how that manifests. And so we speak about the story of Farouk Hesi, who is in our Port Elizabeth, our Eastern Cape region. Apologies for that noise. In the Eastern Cape region, where he speaks about finding so much satisfaction and joy in the work that he does in needy communities through SANZAF. And also in the report, we speak about the Gauteng Food Kitchen, the Durban Chef School, the Manenberg Computer Training Center, and the individuals whose lives we were able to touch through these projects and programs. But importantly, because we talk about five specific capitals that we employ to be able to add value and derive value for our stakeholders. We talk about the financial capital, we talk about our human capital, our intellectual capital, our social capital, as well as our, relationship capitals. And these are all of those things that brings everything together in an integrated way to say, so how do we employ these various capitals for the benefit of others? And when we talk to our relationship capital, we also speak to the many important partnerships we were able to forge in the past year. Because, when you have an organization like SANZAF who is present nationally in most provinces, but not in every single part of the country, we have to work with partnerships so that we can extend that reach and tie and get to as many people as possible. So those partnerships are important, but at the same time, you have huge entities that looks towards a solid partner that can also help them find, ways of distributing funds. And so SANZAF has been able to partner on many levels, and that has come through also in our integrated report in terms of our partnership. Fayruz also mentioned that, the sense of belief that we were encouraged by was, during the pandemic, and now we're talking about being on the other end of that pandemic. But during the pandemic, the thing that got us going was this unbelievable belief and faith and trust that we saw in our stakeholders that, despite the hardship, there's a belief that there will be a better tomorrow. And so that was that whole impetus to us launching the campaign around belief. And it became an invitation to others, to strengthen your belief, to you strengthen your faith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not make or place a burden on you greater than what you can bear, but also that there are opportunities and platforms and resources available to, kind of improve your circumstance, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says He will not change a condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So it starts with the individual, and SANZAF, has positioned itself to be there also to offer that service. So in terms of, the projects and programs to highlight, there is so much around those five capitals that I've mentioned. We speak about our own team as well, because we believe that, our people are, one of our greatest assets. and being the kind of work that we do, being in the trenches, so to speak. Um, it's very much a people's kind of function that we do, and so we lean heavily on our 100 plus team members, and so we speak to that. We also speak to the volunteers, the executive, from executive level down to those literally happy to help us pack a food hamper, all of those who have made this achievement of the past year possible. So other than the numbers, other than the 30 million that was invested in education, the 4,000 plus students that benefited from our SEED program, which is our Education Empowerment and Bursary program, other than the 36 million that we have invested in welfare assistance to over 30,000 beneficiaries, and that all came down to 122 million, alhamdulillah, in Zakáh that was dispersed. Over and above that, there is that personal story behind that numbers that is the highlight for us as the integrated report.
Just listening to you, Sister Yasmina, and you're talking about that personal story, because we are talking about real people, we are talking about a face, we are talking about a name, about a person, and that's over and above the thousands and thousands of other people that you reach out in terms of general projects. But just these specific projects, obviously, are highlights in more ways than one. And I've seen a question that has come through, and perhaps one of you could answer that question, where Fiona Wahab asks, Assalamu alaikum, do you offer medical assistance? You can answer the question. But just before we get there, obviously, looking at people, looking at the general public, responding to SANZAF initiatives, what are some of the responses you're getting, Sister Yasmina?
So, alhamdulillah, just to quickly answer the question of the listener, do we offer medical assistance? So I think, we probably would need more information on the questions and the circumstance to be able to answer the question comprehensively. But the best guidance I can give at this point is to say, if the medical assistance is in regards to a need and the individual is not able to, kind of afford that assistance, and the person is zakatable, the best guidance to give is to say to approach the nearest SANZAF office, because what happens is we look at every case in its totality. So we would assess the individual's entire need. So we need to understand the context of where the medical assistance is required. So that's just to answer that question of the listener. But to your point, Brother Inayat, in terms of the kind of responses that we receive, alhamdulillah, we every year and every opportunity we get when we have this chance to speak to the public, we always echo, that sentiment that, how we feel so blessed to be part of a very giving community who never fail to heed the call to help those in need. And we've seen this in the time of COVID. Some people were even, not operating, their own businesses because they were closed down, but they found it in their heart, to still contribute for those who had nothing. So even when times are tough, and that's essentially where a whole campaign around belief came about, because we witnessed it firsthand that even though times were tough, everybody had this mentality that somebody else is suffering a little bit more than what I possibly am. So we are very blessed to be part of a very giving community, and very trying times we've been through. But we've seen our donors, our partners, our volunteers, continuing to see the value in this divine model of Zakáh and the power that Zakáh has to uplift, to empower, and of course to provide dignity, because it is essentially about restoring an individual's dignity, so they do not have to stand with their hands lifted up. They can kind of be on the path where they also giving. And so we remain grateful, eternally grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and for his guidance. And like I said, I want to take this opportunity to say everybody who supported us this past year, not just the financial support, but people don't understand what it does for us to get
Steve,
a
no,
sense of
I'm just going to stop you a
celebration.
little. I think you are breaking up right here and there. I think there's a breaking signal, but I will continue with Sister Fayruz. I think both have actually frozen, so we're going to try and get all of both of you hopefully on a better line. Sister Fayruz, can you hear me okay? No, it appears as if both have actually frozen. We're going to try and get both Sister Fayruz maybe on a better line. Okay, so something definitely has happened. We can try and get both. Okay, we're going to go for a quick edit. We'll be back.
Devastating flood in Pakistan forced villages, claiming the lives of more than 1,000 people, damaged nearly 1 million homes, and left over
I can't
3
get the thing is breaking up.
the country
So
unfolds
something's gone wrong with the system.
the ground,
I
reaching
think it's all today.
devastating aid, our tirelessly to food and shelter. Your support is urgently needed now to help save more lives. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to a blockchain development company building an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman, so you can focus on the growth of your business. Lotus. That's the choice you'll make.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, what do we need? A Fayruz Lodge, your true home away from home. Our base is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its four-star family room, luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to the Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, and you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity, and tranquility that it has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaselodge.co.za.
One small gesture can change someone's life. The SANZAF Meals Distribution Project aims to reach out to 100,000 individuals each month with freshly prepared meals daily. With your assistance, we can make this possible by contributing just 12 Rand per meal. Call us on 011 834 6046 for more information. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
Gönüllerde hasretin var, yürekler aşkınla çarpar. Sensiz dünya
Okay,
biz
Fayruz is on the phone.
dar. Selam sana ey kutlu yar. With submission, faith and patience, you convey the no.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Well, the time is just gone 8:30, and we need to apologize for that break in communication. Sometimes technology fails us at the most crucial moments. So, Sister Yasmina and also to Sister Fayruz, we need to apologize for that. But just to continue, Sister Yasmina, where we actually left off.
Yes, Jazakallah. I'm not sure at what point we got cut, but just to revisit the point I was making, I was speaking about, the generosity that we have in our community, and wanting to extend that thanks to them, but also to add that it's not just the financial support that we want to thank our donors for. We have to make the point to our donors that they don't know what their messages of motivation, the messages of encouragement actually does for us. Just sometimes when we're in the midst of a huge campaign or a huge distribution, and somebody just giving us a call and kind of saying, we're thinking of the SANZAF team, in kind of in our winter warmth campaigns, during those cold days. I mean, that is the task that we have taken on. But there are people who kind of feel it for us, and the staff that's kind of braving the weather in that particular instance, call us and just extend a good wish. We thank them for that as well, because I think we're all human, and the team needs that kinds of encouragement. So in as much as we've received really great support from our very giving community in terms of the financial support and their dedication towards upholding the third pillar of Islam, their dedication towards this third pillar of Islam, which is a very important pillar. Because I think if we look at, Brother Inayat, where our country is at the moment, if we look at unemployment rate, if we look at the poverty levels, if we look at the youth, and the challenges facing the youth, and how everybody is feeling the effect of current inflationary pressures, then we have to say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this model, which is the model of Zakáh. And this model was established many, 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 many years ago. And so we need to kind of get back to, that very fundamentals that offers us solutions to the challenges we find ourselves in today.
Well, I'm sure both you, Sister Yasmina and Sister Fayruz, addressing these challenges in these difficult times, and knowing both of you, Alhamdulillah, professionals in every way whatsoever, and running a very, very professional operation as well in terms of the people that you manage. So that obviously is very encouraging and also very positive for an organization like SANZAF and also your stakeholders and partners that you are talking about. But just looking at the future, and things change by the day, Sister Fayruz. We had the pandemic, and now we've got global issues. We know what has happened with Russia and Ukraine, and how this has impacted on economies right across the entire world. Jobs, the loss of jobs, just the dire economic situation that people face on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure in keeping up with these challenges, there are certain strategies in place, and looking at SANZAF going into the future, Sister Fayruz.
Absolutely, Brother Inayat. And, as we move closer, alhamdulillah, to reaching, the 50-year milestone, inshallah, we continue to take lessons from our daily experiences, which is key, in adapting and improving on our 5 reporting capitals, which is Sister Yasmina went into quite detail. And, our top management and team are well positioned to continue their meaningful contribution, to the conversations and to the work, especially during the pandemic, where it was quite uncertain. And, if you look at the very early stages, then, SANZAF was one of the very first organizations that could actually go out, into the public and actually distribute. So, putting our team out there, but alhamdulillah, Allah's, we put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we kind of, we mandated to do the work for the public, and alhamdulillah, the team, with their commitment, alhamdulillah, could achieve, what we wouldn't even expect it to, from them. So if we look at, I would also like to say, the foundation of good governance and best practices were laid by the founding members. If I can just mention, late Dr. Shaukat Token, Uncle Abdul Karim Ghani, the current Sheikh Faik Kamil, then the likes of Shaukat Mukadam, etc. They, for example, laid the foundation where SANZAF, for example, is today. If you look at our track record, our infrastructure, and our continuous improvement on good governance does provide a strong platform, for the collection of much needed funds to make an impact on the lives of those we touch, in the delivery of our mandate as a Zakáh management organization, and how we're still trying to continue to improve on that, inshallah. And we cannot obviously be in existence without the contributions of our donors and our partners. So we say Jazakumullah khairan to them. May Allah accept their efforts and grant them much barakah and khair in this life and in the year after. Ameen.
Yes, and just finally, Sister Yasmina, looking at SANZAF and your plans moving forward.
Yes, alhamdulillah. So we continue to focus both on our welfare and our development aspects of our projects and programs, but we want to ensure that the development component creates an even greater impact in the years to come, because this education and empowerment aspect we believe can be the trigger to breaking the cycle of poverty, which I just kind of reference in terms of what we all are experiencing in our country. So also just given where we are at in our academic calendar, so we will soon be opening up our application process for bursaries for 2023. Alhamdulillah, time really flies. So many matriculants have made applications to tertiary institutions, already, and they would have probably have received some provisional acceptance. And so the big question that they're facing now is, where's the funding going to come from? And that's a big concern for many parents, because they can't afford the high cost of university and technicons. So that's something looking forward to in our next couple of months. But over and above that, we've closed yesterday our winter warmth project, because technically September is spring. But now we are looking at shifting our focus a lot to some of our youth programs. So our job seekers programs, our vocational training sessions, our mentorship initiatives for the youth. These are some of kind of the youth programs that we are rolling out as we're coming to the close of this academic year. We're also having some youth focus groups, so we can hear directly from the youth what are the issues that they are grappling with, so that we make sure that the activities that we have are in sync with them and it's relevant to their needs. And just also to say, as the year comes to close, we're also going to our annual strategy planning session, which is our MBM in October, and that's our management board meeting. And this is a vital process because it speaks to that governance and that strategy cycle that Fayruz referenced, because it informs our business plans and it also informs our operations calendar. And it's an opportunity for management to meet with the board and the trustees, and also to assess our traction on our current vision, which is our vision statement for 2025, and also to evaluate whether we need to adapt, to amend, or to enhance any of our strategic objectives. And then just finally, just to mention, by the time we go to our MBM October, we actually start with our Ramadan plans. So it may seem quite far, but when we get back from the holidays in January, it's literally 14 weeks from January to the busiest month of the year. So alhamdulillah, our team is focused on their plans for the future, and we continue to be mindful of our amana and the mandate as a Zakáh management organization, and that is accountable to the public, but ultimately accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are thankful for his mercies and thankful for those whom he sends our way that allow us to do the work of changing lives for the better. Shukran, alhamdulillah.
Well, shukran to both of you, Sister Fayruz, Mohamed, and Yasmina, Francke. In fact, very encouraging that SANZAF is in a great hands, alhamdulillah, and just going forward, just gives us a lot more confidence looking at SANZAF as an organization. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your efforts. Allah reward your efforts as well. And may you continue for a very, very long time to be of service to this ummah through this wonderful initiative, and also at the same time in terms of upholding the very, very important pillar of Islam, which is Zakáh. Allah accept your efforts once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, that was Unpacking South African National Zakáh Fund, the integrated report with the National Chairperson, Fayruz Mohamed, and the CEO, Yasmina Francke, this morning. We're going to go for a break. We come back. We'll be joined by Professor Fayruz Kachalia.